So good morning and welcome to the Washington State Department of Agriculture's virtual press conference. My name is Carla Selp and I'm the Public Engagement Specialist with WSDA and am an agency spokesperson for the Asian Giant Hornet Project. This morning we will be hearing from Sven Spichiger with an update on some pretty exciting activities with Asian Giant Hornet that we've had this week. Sven will provide a statement and then will be available for questions from members of the press. I know most of you are already familiar with our Asian Giant Hornet website at agr.wa.gov/hornets. I wanted to highlight for you that we have a new public data dashboard that can be found there. The dashboard includes a summary of the latest catches, numbers of WSDA and citizen scientist traps, and other stuff. We are still working out a few bugs, but we hope to continue to improve it as we move forward, and that'll be a useful tool for you to help facilitate getting data out there to the public as quickly as possible. The dashboard can be found by going to the Hornets webpage that I just mentioned and clicking on the data subpage. We would also like to ask your help to spread the message to the public to encourage them to report every hornet that they see every single time, especially for the next month. The best way to report is using our online reporting form, which is on our Hornets webpage, again at agr.wa.gov/hornets. Next best is to email us at hornets@agr.wa.gov. And finally, we have our hotline that can accept reports at 1-800-443-6684. I think Sven's statement today will emphasize how important those public reports are. Also, we have some photos and videos of our activities this week uploaded to our box.com account for media use. Members of the media can email me at kselp, that's K, S as in Sam, A, L, P as in Paul, at agr.wa.gov for links to download those if they don't already have the links. Just a reminder, there are separate links for the video and the photos. Some of you may only have the photo link, so don't hesitate to reach out to me if you need the link to download the videos. The family that initially reported the Asian Giant Hornets over last weekend, that's resulted in this week's activities, is actually willing to consider some press interviews, although we will be later today providing some pre-recorded interviews. We're still trying to get that uploaded. So if anyone is interested in that, you can email me directly, again, at the email I just gave, and I will forward your request to the family and they will consider it and reach out to you if they are interested. Again, the video of the pre-recorded video will be uploaded later today to the same box account links that I mentioned before. One final reminder, please keep your line muted to ensure that the best sound quality for everyone. Sven, please go ahead.
Okay, good morning. Carla, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me.
You're good.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody. We've had a kind of a busy week here. So so our update actually starts last Monday. So not the Monday of this week, but the 21st. And this is when a private landowner, a little to the east of Blaine, basically captured an Asian giant hornet. It was apparently repeatedly visiting paper wasp nests on the eaves of their house outside. They captured one, and as one of the responses they took was they decided to deploy one of the citizen scientist traps, and they caught a second one the following Friday. Go ahead and report this to us over the weekend. Fortunately, Dr. Chris Looney, one of our entomologists, was up installing some sentinel hives, and I'll talk a little bit about that later, and was able to meet with the landowner. And as they were actually discussing what was going on in the area, one flew up, and Chris was able to net it live out of the air as it was visiting, again, one of the paper wasp nests. And that touches off kind of a chain of events here at WSDA, which means we get all of the response staff from different parts of the state together, and we all descended on the area Wednesday, September 30th, 8 o'clock in the morning, headed up to the property and started the process of attempting to put a radio tag on the live hornet and follow it back to the nest. This actually was our first attempt doing this with an Asian giant hornet. Everything actually went very well. The tags functioned properly. Our devices for tracking them, which literally are cell phone apps, these also functioned properly. Unfortunately, the glue did not dry fast enough, and the tag slid off of it as we were waiting to release the hornet. And unfortunately, its wings came into contact with the glue, rendering it unable to fly. So we were not able to release it to follow it back to the nest. However, we always do have our backup plan, which is to hang a bunch of live version of our orange juice traps area, and we have done that. We have placed an additional 30 traps in the area, and quite a bit happened as we were doing that. Carla, who is our host today, actually found a dead hornet in a street lamp. It apparently had been attracted to the lamp and died in the street lamp, giving us another hornet specimen in the general vicinity. And as we were knocking on doors to get permission to hang live traps, that morning, which was, again, September 30th, we were presented with a doorbell cam photograph of an Asian giant hornet flying up to it, and the doorbell cam caught a perfect photograph of an Asian giant hornet showing the large yellow head and gave us yet another data point. And we also take very seriously a third report of somebody finding one dead on their porch and discarding it, also in that general vicinity. So we have basically 6 specimens in the last week. We believe, of course, we're dealing with a nest, and we will be watching that particular area pretty close. I also wanted to touch upon something I mentioned earlier, which is our Sentinel hive program, and working with entomologists at WSU. We were able to secure 6 honeybee hives, which we have deployed in the field. The reasoning behind this is because Asian giant hornet this time of year starts going into what we call the slaughter phase, where they will visit apiaries, basically mark a hive and attack it in force, removing every bee from the hive, decapitating them, killing all of the workers, and then spending the next few days harvesting the brood and the pupae out of the hive as a food source. We have placed hives near our Birch Bay finds from earlier in the year, also in Custer, and we will also be placing probably hives up in the new find in Blaine. And what's interesting about this is at the same time we are also testing a hive exclusion device, which is something that's been used in Japan for many years, which essentially causes the bees to fly up first when they come out of the hive. They're able to pass through a grate. However, Asian giant hornets are not able to pass through this grate. And this is something that's been used successfully in Japan for many years. And WSU is testing this out. And basically, this will end up capturing also live Asian giant hornets for us. And so we'll be checking these daily, like we check our live traps daily. And so that's kind of what's been going on for us this week, a pretty busy week. Learned quite a bit, especially how to glue a tag on properly. So we're hoping to get another shot at this as soon as we can grab another live hornet in that area. We can't thank enough the public effort, and again, Carla mentioned it, remind them how important it is to turn in these reports. This report happened to be on the outer edge of our survey grid that we've been running this year, and so kudos to the folks who turned this in, and they have been absolutely wonderful throughout this entire week, hosting us and the sideshow that comes with us in getting this activity done. We do hope to have this nest located within a couple of weeks at the latest, and be talking to you about how we successfully eradicated a nest in the coming weeks. That is our fondest hope. So with that, Carla, oh, yes, I did miss one thing. Because we are entering the slaughter phase, we have actually created a new telephone line, and this is for beekeepers only, and particularly beekeepers in Washington state only, can call this line if their hive is under attack from Asian giant hornet. And this is to be used similar to 911. So they can call 360-902-1880 if they are experiencing a live hive attack. And what we want beekeepers to remember is that even though they may feel this overwhelming desire to protect the hive that is being attacked, it is extremely important that they contact us immediately, make note of what direction the hornets are flying off in, so that we can locate the nest and destroy it. And this is important for a few reasons. It not only stops them from attacking hives in other areas, it will allow us to remove them so that they do not create new nests for next year. And so we would like beekeepers to call that line. You will. And we are stressing for other members of the public that this is only for active honeybee hive attacks by Asian giant hornet. And so I believe our slogan is track it, don't whack it. So we want to be able to track them back to the nest and take out the nest so that we don't have more next year. With that, Carla, did I forget anything? And then I will be happy to answer questions.
I think you got it all. Thanks, Sven. We'll be taking questions now. A couple normal reminders. Please don't unmute your own line. I'll be happy to do that for you to help keep the noise to a minimum. And you can use the raise your hand function if you would like to be unmuted to ask a question. You can also submit questions via the chat function. And while we're waiting for anybody that has questions to either raise their hand or enter them into the chat box, I will just let you know a lot of the things that Sven mentioned today. We do have photos and or videos of including the hornet traps that are attached to the hive, with Chris Looney talking about those and how they work, as well as some video of the attempt at tagging the Asian giant hornet this week. Yeah, and we have photos as well. So I'm not seeing any questions at the moment. And just as I say that, people make me a liar. Okay, Joe, I'm going to unmute your line. You can go ahead and ask your question.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, we can.
Yes.
I'm wondering if there is, if there's any way that we can, at this point, quantify, or if you're working on a plan to quantify how this might be affecting honeybee populations. Is it too early to do that, or are we relying on just anecdotal information from honeybee keepers? That's my question.
Okay, you broke up a little bit there, but you basically ask if we can quantify if they're having an impact on honeybee hives already. From where I sit, absolutely, they're impacting honeybee hives. We already have reports turned in with not live specimens, but with specimens captured from 2019. And, to be honest, the traps do seem to catch them. So we don't think we have a huge number of nests out there, but the few that we do have do seem to be readily active and available to attack honeybee hives. I think what is even of greater concern is this, it's not really new, it's expected, but how these were found. They're also attacking our native wasps, hornets, yellow jackets and things like that. So to see them doing that, that means they're going to have an impact on our ecosystem past managed honeybees as well. So that was kind of the bad news confirmed this week. And the homeowner was actually even kind enough to take a photo of one of them hanging around on a paper wasp nest. And we have had similar reports that we couldn't corroborate of this type of activity as well, but now we have it well, Chris saw it for himself, and of course we have a photo. So I guess to me, that's the bigger story here, is that we have now confirmed they're also attacking some of our native pollinators.
Thanks, Sven. Michael Crow, you are unmuted. Michael, you're unmuted, but we cannot hear you. You might need to send your question in via chat. All right, we have a question from the Bellingham Herald. Can you tell me exactly how many new hornets were found or sighted this week, I guess you might say? Is it 3 or 6?
Definitely 5 that we have bodies for, and then a 6th one that we're taking as an accurate report, but the homeowner said that they had discarded the specimen. So 1 on a doorbell cam, 1 found by Carla, and 3 found by the 3 found on the property of the homeowner that turned these in. So 5 with 6 very credible reports that we don't have a specimen for, but definitely 5 confirmed.
So I think Sven is forgetting the 1 live capture. Did you get that, Sven?
I didn't hear you, Carla.
Sorry, I think
I'm sorry.
Sven's having a little. Yeah, that's okay. I think in addition to that, there's the live capture that Chris caught.
I counted that.
Okay. Okay, Michael's question, Sven, thanks for all this great info. Was hoping you could talk a little more about the glue incident and what led to the hornet being damaged, and if there's a likely shot if it's likely you'll get another shot or live one this year.
Okay, great question. So we had actually tested this out before on bald-faced hornets and experienced similar trouble. So gluing tracking tags is usually done on honeybees, bumblebees, things like that, and some other insects. One of the neat things about hornets is they're not quite as hairy as those, so there's not as much for the glue to grab onto. And so you do have to be very patient and wait till it dries. But when you're handling an Asian giant hornet, obviously it doesn't want you handling it. So you have to kind of keep it chilled down. The combination of having a glue that's maybe not fast drying enough, we're going to have to experiment with those a little on some, I guess, some cadavers before we try this again with a live one. And being lowered into a cooler of ice, and the combination of the hornet not actually wanting to have something glued to it kind of all culminated in, as we were waiting for the glue to dry, the tag just slipped off, and then the wing went down and touched the glue that was remaining on the body. And unfortunately, this made it so that it was not able to fly. She did wake back up, crawled all over the place because we had switched up to tying a tag onto her with a small piece of thread. And she dragged that all over the place. She even went and drank some orange juice that we had put on a paper towel for her, just to give her a little more strength. But unfortunately, again, she wasn't able to take flight. And we absolutely do believe we're going to get more live hornets. So we have peppered the area with 30 live traps. And with the number of sightings that we got as we started walking the neighborhood, we are supremely confident that at least throughout the next couple of weeks, we're probably going to snag one, if not more of them, and we'll be able to give this another try. And as we're doing this, of course, every one of those trap captures will give us more information to help us narrow down the site. But one thing I will say is there's a couple of extremely wooded areas surrounding this neighborhood, and it may be a very daunting task to find the exact location, but that's what we're all prepared for, and looking forward to finding that nest and taking it out.
Thanks, Sven. There's a question to clarify. Can you give a number of how many have been captured? dead plus the 1 live since the first arrival in 2019. So I think he's looking for a grand total.
Okay, well, if you include our Canadian friends who are actually listening in on this call, it's several hundred, but here in Washington, I believe our grand total is 12, I think is what we're putting up there right now. Only one has been captured alive at this point. Carla, does that sound right? We literally just got back from the field and started updating all these numbers, so you'll have to forgive me if I'm not quite right. Or is it 17?
I think it's 15.
15.
I'm sorry. Yeah. We literally have all been out in the field all week, and we're scrambling to try and get this totally straightened out. So we had 9 before. We have the 2 specimens that were reported over the weekend. When Chris visited on Monday, they gave us the photo of the additional specimen on the wasp nest. On Tuesday, he caught the live Asian giant hornet. And later that day, I found the dead Asian giant hornet. That's 5 more. We have the doorbell cam. That's 6 confirmed with photo or specimen. And we have the 1 very suspicious report on the doorstep. I don't think we're technically counting that one. So I think we are at 6 more. So that makes 15. I'm literally holding fingers up here.
That works. Yep, that works for me.
Okay, follow-up question from Michael. One, do you believe we're dealing with more than 1 nest right now, or are all these many recent sightings probably coming from 1?
Well, the sightings this week are most likely from 1 nest. That's the strongest possibility. However, just north of that in Langley, there was a queen captured earlier this year. And also, we have quite a bit of activity in the Birch Bay area and activity in the Custer area. So at least for the recent sightings, we believe that's 1 nest that we're dealing with, but we're still dealing with a nest in Birch Bay, so that's at least 2. We really only have the 1 specimen from Custer, and it was, I believe that was the male. So, that one's a little weird in more than one way, but it's still only the 1 specimen and then nothing else for the rest of the season. So most of our resources right now are being spent every day looking around the Birch Bay area and now this new site a little east of Blaine.
Thanks, Sven. And I just want to check for any more raised hands here. Don't see any. And if you had something in the chat box and I missed your question, please let me know. I want to make sure I get that answered. It goes by really fast, so I sometimes don't see it. I'm just looking really quickly here. Okay, I think I've gotten everybody. If I did miss your question, please type it again in the chat box. And I want to.
There was one more, Carla.
Oh,
I just saw pop up. The question was still no attacks on beehives yet this year, and no, we still have not had any beekeepers or have evidence of our own sentinel hives being attacked by Asian giant hornet yet. But with them visiting paper wasp nests and it being October already, we're expecting that to begin. And obviously we're gearing up to let beekeepers know that this is the season to be on, on guard. And of course, we just created a live, the kind of live body line for them to call if that happens. So no reports yet, and we're waiting to hear from folks as time goes by. And it's very important that every report gets called in. And again, before we quit, I'd really just like to thank the public who has, really been the star of the show in calling in all of these reports and working with us to help stop this thing from getting established any more than it already might be.
Great. Well, that looks like, I think, all of the questions that we have. I would like to, before we wrap up, just reiterate how much, again, like Sven said, how much we appreciate you helping us get the message out to the public to report every hornet every time they see one. As usual, if you need further assistance, you can email me directly at ksoup@agr.wa.gov, and I'll be happy to help you. I think a lot of you have my phone number as well, 360-902-2178. I will be on the road trying to get back to Olympia today, so the phone might be the best way if you have a question that I can answer over the phone. Thank you, everyone. And again, thanks for covering the Asian giant hornet story.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend.